Hey, good afternoon. Happy Sunday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. Got a little bit of news to cover, just some things to talk about. Hopefully, we get some people here. I see we got one watching now. Um, wait a little bit for some people to come in. Got some kind of funny stuff to go over today. It's like I spent again, like now it's been like the last 6 days almost solid on on X. Yeah, I do have a life outside of that, but it's not full 6 days. It's a lot of hours though, and it's almost like after Trump and Elon had their little fake fight, and the next little plan, the scheme, the psyop to drive the rats out, which is working pretty good, was to flip on the liberal switch on X. It's like 95% of the posts that are going up out there on X are from, man, the far left. Crazy, crazy people. And I mean, some of the stuff they post is so easily rebuked, and they talk about, like, to coin a phrase, their shit don't stink, but every time they open their mouth, it sounds like somebody farted. So, yeah, it's X is kind of like the cesspool of the rats, and the freaky libs are just going crazy. And I do think there's a lot of bot accounts that got turned on and activated too, because a few days ago, I went and I just let loose, and I did apologize for that on my last live, because you shouldn't treat God's creation that way. You got to rebuke them, call them out on their lies, but you can't demean them, and you can't talk bad about them as people. So I apologize for that. I asked God for forgiveness, and He laid it on my heart that you're forgiven, and we're always forgiven. We just have to repent, and that was a sin. So anyway, what's going on X right now is just totally crazy. I think we'll probably go through, just for chits and giggles. We'll kind of go through some of those posts. But real quick, the first thing I wanted to let everybody know, there is an account on X. It's called something to the effect of U.S. Homeland Security something or another. They posted about a car bomb going off in Washington, D.C., that it was some kind of a Mercedes van. Well, I actually went and did my research and looked it up. And yes, there was a fire, and it was an Amazon truck that caught on fire, but preliminary stuff coming from the emergency crews and stuff like that is that it was not a car bomb that went off. Something in the van or of the van caught on fire, and emergency crews responded in time to catch it. It was just burning some bushes around that, like, local area of the van, but they got the fire put out. There's pictures of it, and it's basically an Amazon delivery van that caught on fire. We don't know what it is yet that caught on fire, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. But it was not a car bomb, and it was not a terrorist attack in Arlington, Virginia, which is close to Washington, D.C. So we'll put that out. But I'm kind of looking through. I don't even think that U.S. Homeland Security account, even though they have a blue check mark, I don't think they're the official government account. I think it's either a parody or somebody did a fake account with it. But I didn't open up a bunch of windows on X, but you don't need to. I don't have to, like, open up and cherry pick stuff. Um, it's just quite obvious. So I'm gonna switch over and see if I can get my window, my share window up here so that everybody can see. I have to. Let's see here. I think I got it just repointed at the right browser page. There we go. That was pretty easy. All right, now I need to probably move it over just a little bit, so so that we can see everything without it being overwritten with my camera picture over the top of it. All right, let's see. How does that look? That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to that screen. Sorry about the background noise. I have to get like one of those little sock things for my microphone. I think it'll help with like some of the echo in this room. I'm going to be building a new studio after my fiance gets here, but that's going to be a little while out yet, but it'll be a lot nicer. Anyway, not to skirt off the other subject here, but let me get up here. So I'm just going to hit like on home and just some of the stuff that's coming up here. Here we go. So the news of the day, there's a couple of things going on here. Every day there's the Russia stuff, you know, with Ukraine. We're going to talk about that a little bit later because there's some stuff, personal stuff I want to talk about with that as well. But the two big main things are the one big ugly bill, as the lefties want to call it. They're I think they're actually doing it right now. They're reading it on the floor. Basically, it's a stall tactic. 900 and some pages. I downloaded it, and the one including all the the contents and the appendix and all that stuff, it's like 1,000 and some pages. But I actually started skimming through it, and I was trying to find these things here where they talk about Medicare getting cut, SNAP getting cut, was it Medicaid, Medicare, you know, so we're like the old people that are in assisted living homes are gonna get kicked out. They aren't their insurance isn't gonna cover it anymore. I mean, Chucky Schumer and Adam Schiff are like the two big ones, but there's a lot. It's all the Democrats. There were a couple of Rhino Republicans there that I did see that said they're voting for it, but they're afraid that it's going to cause some problems for their districts. Whatever. I looked through it and I didn't find anything bad. Basically, if we go back and look at Doge and all the cuts that were done there, okay, we'll look at Social Security first. It's not going to get touched. It's not going to be affected. But when they went through the list and they showed how many people, first of all, how many people that are getting Social Security benefits, whether it be regular Social Security or Social Security and disability, I don't know about, you know, like the people that are in actual, like in the age of below 100 that are on it, okay? But there were quite a few people that were like well over 100 years old that were getting the benefits. There were, if you go from 100 and then go all the way up, there was even like one or two that were 300 years old that are getting benefits. And you hear the Democrats screaming the loud, the Democrats and the Rhinos, just they're the ones. The Rhinos not screaming as loud, but the Democrats are, and I'm sorry, the lefty libtards that are not in politics, that are your regular Joes and Janes that are out on the street, they believe anything that MSM tells you, and they listen to everything that they hear on TV. These people haven't learned yet how to do their own research and go find out and verify things for themselves. So that's a big part of the problem. They know that there are still probably about 20 to 25% of the population of the United States that will believe anything that they hear on TV. Okay? But now going back on the Social Security stuff here, what Doge found is that there are a huge amount of people that are on the Social Security rolls that are getting Social Security checks, and these people don't even exist. Okay, they either died back in the early 1900s or whenever. Okay, they're not even alive anymore. Um, and then there are also illegals that are on that list that are getting Social Security and disability, and they're not even United States citizens. So, in order to qualify for Social Security, you had to have had a job and paid into taxes. Okay, so during your with paying in with your taxes, you also get a Social Security chunk taken out of your paycheck. Probably two like different chunks of it, if I remember right. It's been a while since um, I have actually, well, from when I was in the military, looked at like my leave and earning statements because those were like the more accurate than just regular W-2s. But so the point that I'm making is that what's getting cut are the people that don't exist and the people that don't actually deserve the benefits. Okay, so a lot of these illegals that came across, they were put on the rolls to get Social Security so they could get money. But then you got let's wonder, okay, what were all the dead people on there for? Well, that money was saying that it was paid out to these people. These checks are going somewhere. Somebody's cashing these checks and that money's going somewhere. Okay, so um, they weren't able to track that. So where's that money going? Who's getting that money? Is it an individual that has carried that on, or is it somebody in the government that's got like this secret slush fund where this stuff goes to, and then these checks get cashed, and then that money goes into like a little top secret covert slush fund? Who knows? But the point is that that's the stuff that's getting cut. Okay, the people that don't deserve it, the people that are dead that shouldn't be getting it anymore, um, and the illegals should not be getting it. Okay, so these are the biggest points that they're making about the one big beautiful bill. They call it the one big ugly bill, but we I think I figured out where the money for these non-existent people are going. It's going into a slush fund, and all of these politicians get a chunk out of basically a piece of the pie. That's what they're getting, some of it. Okay, so now if the stupid liberals that are out there, the Janes and Joes that don't know how to do their own research, understood what was happening, they would be screaming from the top of the mountains too, saying, "Oh, you guys are stealing all this money, but we're not getting any. We're backing you." Or maybe they might come around and go like, "Oh crap, we're backing these people, and they really are stealing from the American people because they're working, they're paying taxes, I hope, and they're getting Social Security pulled out of their checks. So they're paying into this too. So somebody's stealing their money too. Are they going to be happy about that? I don't think so. Okay, so here's the other big thing. New York, this Ma'am Danny guy. I mean, they're coming right out. They're calling this guy a communist. And if you look at some of the things that he's trying to get done for New York, um, we're talking, it's in the billions of dollars of free crap that he's a communist, but he's pushing socialist agenda to give like free everything, but it's not free healthcare. It's like free, baby carriers, free this. There was a list of stuff, and it's nuts. But the point is that I'm trying to get these New Yorkers. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of good conservative New Yorkers that are totally against this, but the outspoken ones, the ones that are speaking out in favor of this guy and trashing anybody that speaks against him, I think these guys are paid, or they're just plain stupid. But I mean, did everybody forget about 9/11? They forgot, who was all involved with that. We know that our administration was involved in it. The whole Bush administration knew about it, and we know that Israel and Mossad were part of it. But we also know that, and maybe they were set up. Who knows? But there were some radical Muslims that were also involved, that they were fingered anyway and were made the scapegoats for whatever happened. But so what I'm waiting for is for they're talking about having a new 9/11 commission, and I would like to see that happen, and with the real stuff come out. I mean, all they got to do is just release the all the classified papers on it. So yeah, I just telling people, look into these people that are running. They might promise you a bunch of stuff. I mean, what's the most they can promise the left? An Obama phone? I mean, is it still that they got to have the Obama phone, a free phone, and they'll get the vote? These people are really stupid. So here's another one. This Seth dude. It's all the same. They're talking about Trump is destroying our company, our country. Okay, he's destroying our credibility. And this is all coming from what's coming up next. This whole thing with Canada. Okay, Trump just said Canada has all of a sudden been a very tough country to deal with. Okay, what happened here, okay, what a lot of people got to realize, there's a lot going on with Canada. We're going to talk about Canada for a while. All right, so first off, Carney was selected, admittedly. Even a lot of Canadians are saying, yeah, he was selected, except for the left-leaning ones that are like over in like Ottawa or wherever. Those people are the ones that are saying, well, we voted for him. You didn't vote for this guy. It never went to a vote. He was just put in. Okay, so this Carney guy was not voted in. They put him in, and a lot of people think, oh, he's a banker dude. He's like Trump. He knows money. No, this guy knows how to steal your money. Okay, but what's happening here is the left is actually taking and trying to they're taking Trump's words on making Canada the 51st state. They're trying to take that and make it into like a hostile takeover, like a corporate takeover. An interesting thing, I wish I would have bookmarked it. This young lady from this morning, she posted, she was looking in this thing where you can look up companies and on like their corporate dealings within the United States. And each province of Canada is doing business in New York, probably because it's like on Wall Street, they're all doing investments. Okay, so each of those provinces, they list them as it's an 8888 foreign, they are like a foreign entity. But for example, I'm trying to remember now if it was like Vancouver or it might have been Alberta. They listed it as a foreign entity, 8888, with an address of in New York. The other ones are still saying that they're like Canada, but they were looking deeper into it, and it all has to do with the United States wasn't the only country that was turned into a corporation. The United States was turned into a corporation in 1871. Okay, so we were no longer a republic. We were corporate owned states. Okay, so a lot of people didn't understand that or didn't believe it, but we are, and that's one of the things that Trump is doing. He's trying to bring us back into being a constitutional republic again. I think it's already been done, but we're still in the middle of cleaning the swamp out, draining that swamp, and there's still a long ways to go with doing that. But there are a lot of other things that are happening that are, if you look at it, they're actually showing that some really good things are going to start happening in the United States. But for the people that don't know how to do their own research, mostly the stupid libs and the Karens and the Kevins running the streets screaming their heads off saying that everything is bad and that Trump is evil and yada yada. They're only believing what they hear on CNN, MSNBC, CBS, ABC, all the mainstream news. They're all a bunch of liars. And even Fox News. Okay, people get over it. Fox News is just as bad. Okay, they allow Trump to talk, and they do have some pro-Trump people there. But if you look at the people that are up in the corporate of Fox News, they're never Trumpers, and they will do whatever they can to make Trump look bad. All right, so more on Canada. Okay, I did a little bit of research over the last few days on Canada. Now, Canada is now the number one importer of fentanyl into the United States. About 95% of the fentanyl that's coming into the United States is coming in through Canada and originates at the Port of Vancouver. Okay? The Port of Vancouver, the longshoremen that work there, a very good bunch of them are actually cartel members. They actually are cartel. And then the others that aren't are paid off and paid off a lot to turn their cheek and not say anything. But less than 1% of all imports that come into the port of Vancouver in British Columbia, less than 1% is even checked by customs. Okay, and they know what to check and what not to check. What's interesting is it sounds a lot like what's going on in Racine, Wisconsin, and I realize there's a couple of people that know a lot more about what's going on. I know enough, but there's other people that know a lot more about Racine. I want to get them on to talk with me. We don't have to do camera. I would just like to talk and a real talk, not like the MG show where they wanted to dox them and try to put their information out. I want to do a real report, real news, and get the real truth out so people can understand what really went on and is going on and what Racine is all about. But anyway, back to Vancouver, Canada. As I said, less than 1% of everything that comes in through cargo ships and everything that comes into that port is checked, less than 1%. So do you think that they're going to check anything that's got any of those containers that have the fentanyl in it? No. Okay. There was somebody from the RCMP. I don't remember names. I'll give you guys a reference that you can watch, and it's pretty good. They asked one of the heads of the RCMP if they know how many cartel fentanyl drug labs there are throughout all of Canada now. And it seems too that the cartels are buying up and leasing properties from farmers on land way out in the middle of nowhere. So this is where all their fentanyl distribution and create, how they make the fentanyl in these places. They're all over Canada. The RCMP guy says, I don't know, what, 4,000 or something? Well, no, the number is actually in the 600s. But if you think about it, across Canada, having 600 fentanyl distribution and where they actually make the fentanyl to be distributed, okay? Over 600. I think it was like 690 something, 680, somewhere around there. But there is a Sean Ryan where he interviews this Katerina Schultz. She's a Canadian reporter who pretty much, for whatever reason, has free reign, can get in and talk to the cartels, and the cartels like to brag about what they do, so they let her in to talk, and as long as she doesn't give out too detailed of information about like exactly where they're at, they're okay with her putting the news out, because it's how they scare. It's their type of terrorism. So anyway, 95% of that fentanyl is actually coming across our northern border. When we closed off the southern border, we closed off the ability for them to send the fentanyl and to do human trafficking and child trafficking and all that stuff across our southern border. But guess what? It all went to our northern border. And if you all remember, it's probably like 2.5 years ago, when just before I took my hiatus for a bit, I was screaming out loud about our northern border, okay? And this already started happening. The transition from the southern border to the northern border coming in through Canada, it started right around the time Trump walked down the escalator with Melania and announced that he was running for president. So they knew that Trump was going to go after the cartels and close the border. That was what he he was always a staunch supporter of closing our border. Okay, so they knew it was going to happen, and they probably figured if he got his way, it was going to happen. They were going to close the border. So now they've moved into Canada. Most of them, a lot of them that came illegally into the United States, traveled up through the United States and went across the border, and they're in Canada. The cartel members are definitely all up there now. Not all of them, but a pretty good portion of them. They still have their runners down here and their distribution hubs to get all this stuff spread through the United States. But 95% of the fentanyl that's coming into the United States is coming across our northern border now. And then you probably ask, well, where's the rest coming through? Maybe some of it that accidentally makes it through on the east and west coast, like maybe one of the ports in, say, Southern California there. Trying to remember the name of that one. It'll pop into my mind, but that one's the one that's just outside LA area. But so we probably still have some coming in on the East Coast through like Florida and North Carolina, because there's something weird that happened that I saw with North Carolina the other day with an Evergreen International ship with all the containers. Somebody made a TikTok trying to get law enforcement people's attention that there were a lot of bodies in those containers and probably other things. So these we talk about our ports that are on the East Coast, and most of our ports, some of them that are owned by China. The ports are actually owned by China, so those places aren't getting very strict checks either. Maybe they are now, but maybe not all of them. So there's still some stuff that's getting through on the East Coast. And then there's the little, like the 1% of the legitimate fentanyl that's actually being used for like cancer patients, pain relief, that kind of stuff that is legitimate medical. I don't even like using the word legitimate for medical because it's big pharma, okay? And I've got a big problem with big pharma, especially now that we know that med beds are real and that people are gonna start having more access to them. So back up with Canada. So a lot of the Canadians, on the west side, we've got the Vancouver, we've got Alberta, and around Toronto and those areas, those people for the most part are still pretty much pro-USA, and they're trying to get the lefties way over on the east side in Ottawa and all those places over there to wake up, because you know how here in the United States we've got our left-leaning places. We've got California and then a few places over on the East Coast that are northeast that are still very left-leaning, and then maybe like Colorado and maybe Nevada. I mean, California likes to say that they're a red state, but if they're a red state, why did they keep allowing the Democrats to keep getting in power there? They always just shut up and took it. So anyway, I digress. But yeah, Canada, what's happening now because of this and the whole tariff thing, where Trump said that he's not going to even talk to them now for like a week or two. They'll get a letter, and they're trying to say that they never did try to charge 400% to our farmers on subsidies on milk and dairy and other stuff that was from here sent up there. They said no, it wasn't. Trump will sometimes embellish a little bit, but just to kind of get people to open their eyes. But I think that they were charging that much, and that was because they went back and they talked about, well, we had agreements with Biden. Well, what did Biden do? He let China drop off and go back to the way that they were doing things. So Trump had to go rehash that with the tariffs with China. And then he tried to do the same thing with Canada, but Carney is he's basically like got this Napoleon Bonaparte um, thing about him where he thinks that he's untouchable. You know, he's a very very um, deep state NWO guy too. Um, so anyway, I think he'll capitulate to Trump. He'll be like, okay, we'll do it because we don't we can continue on um, without anything coming from Canada for a while. The other thing that they were talking about too in this big beautiful bill, because this is what this is all in relation to, was how they mentioned in there that there's a lot of public lands. It's not public lands. It's federal land that was taken uh, by the government over the years and made government land and taken away from the people. That it was they had where the government had the right to do that to take people's land, pay them a little bit of reparation for it, and say, well, this is ours now. I'm trying to remember the other name for that too. It's a legal term for it, where the government takes it over because it's in the best interest of the government to have that piece of land to put a highway in or a railroad or something like that. I might think of that. I don't know, but some of you out there might know what I'm talking about. So basically what's happening is this land, some of this land was taken hundreds of years ago. Some of it maybe not so long ago, but this land is going to be put up for sale, and so private citizens can own it. Some companies might buy up like some of the land or get rights to do logging on some of the land, and there's a lot of logging to be done. I watch a couple of other channels like Steve from howtohunt.com. He's actually out of Vancouver, British Columbia, but he's in the same mind as us. He thinks that all these lefty liberals, they're basically trash. They're ruining the world. But he also knows too that all that land, there's enough in the United States that they could log that, and we wouldn't have to worry about timber ever, because we harvest and we can regrow. I grew up in Wisconsin, and they grow, and then after so many years they harvest, and then after the harvest they let it grow, so on and so forth. 1 second. My throat's a little dry. I need to do a drink. So anyway, there's other states out there that know how to cultivate their land and have their natural resources, keep coming. Okay, unlike California, over the last, what is it, 4 or 5 years now, all their stuff's getting burned down, and California is talking about, oh, we're the richest state in the United States. We put out more of this and this and this, and it's like, really. And then somebody put a post out about their tollway that goes across the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, about 260,000 plus vehicles cross back and forth across that bridge every day. People going to work and coming home, a lot of people. Okay, each time they cross that bridge, it costs $8. Okay, so if most of those people are traveling back and forth for work, then they're going twice, so it costs them $16 a day to go across that bridge. 16 times 260,000, it's probably more than that. We're talking in the millions of dollars of revenue per day just off of that one little bridge, and the state doesn't have enough money to keep their power on, make sure that the residents have water, that they're not in a drought situation. They can't update all their resources, their water provision and all that. Plus everything's burning down. A couple of years ago we had whole towns that burned down. Now those were some of those fires were kind of flaky, shady, um, and I do believe that it was deep state people that caused those fires. And we've talked about those. I'm not going to rehash them all, but so if California is so rich and they have why with all that money that they get just from that one little bridge in the tollway, and they can't put that towards use on keeping people's water on, keeping the power on. All the utilities and water and everything are pretty much sucking. It sounds like. So Gavin Newsom needs to go because somewhere somehow people are lining their pockets and it's not getting back out to the people that pay the taxes and the fees and the tolls and all that to help keep the upkeep up. So somebody's lying there, okay? And I think it's Gavin Newsom. So I'm just going to scroll. I know I've been kind of sitting on a couple of things here. It's just everything in here is the left. Some of these people, they're putting this stuff out. I mean, I don't even know if they realize how stupid they're making themselves look. They're putting this out here. Put the hand up and talk about this and that, and they're pushing and regurgitating the same lies that they're hearing from the mainstream media and the Democrats. Okay, here Zoran says his worldview is inspired by third world while eating rice with his hands. There's some crazy stuff. Yeah, see here, just stuff like this. See, I don't even think these are real accounts. I think these are bot accounts. So they just put stupid stuff out like this. And then one of my friends here from Ukraine, they're going through a lot. We'll get into Ukraine in a little bit. And then here's Chucky right here, where they just forced a full reading of Trump's big, beautiful bill on the floor. It's going to hold him up for another 15 hours. And it's like they just basically pulled the pin on the grenade because when they get done reading this, everybody's going to find out that there's nothing in the bill that's bad. At least not for the people. Okay, it might be bad for the congressmen and the congresswomen and the senators and anybody in politics, the corrupt people, might be bad for them, but not for the American people. So everything in the United States right now that's getting pushed, yesterday and part of the day before, part of yesterday and then the full day before, they brought Roe v. Wade back up. So again, there was I think they got to the end of their playbook. So here, they take some clips of what Trump says, but then they turn them around. And so this Ewan McDonald, he's pushing for Trump to get active and send more to Ukraine as far as military equipment and things like that. So Trump has made it very clear, okay, just in the short version, Trump has made it very clear that this whole thing can stop if Putin and Zelensky go to the table and have a talk. But every time they get like a day within having a talks or something, one side or the other, usually it's Zelensky, and I'm gonna use the last time that they were supposed to have talks in Turkey. 2 days before the talks, Lindsey Graham goes to Ukraine, unbeknownst to President Trump and unbeknownst to Congress, unless there were certain people in Congress that knew that he was going and weren't going to say anything. But it was not, from what I understand, it wasn't legal for him to go talk on behalf of the United States. So he goes and he has a secret meeting with Zelensky. He leaves the very next day, and the day before the peace talks, Zelensky sends all these drones into Russia and against another Russian base and bombs like 40 Tupolev bombers, okay, blows them up or damages them. So when you do that, do you think that Putin is going to be receiving or wanting to go have peace talks with you after you just blew up um, millions of dollars of his equipment? I don't think so. Okay, they did have talks the next day, but it was the exact same people from Russia that were there that were there in 2022. Okay, and Trump just the other day had a meeting with Zelensky at The Hague. About an hour and a half, I think he talked to him, and he said maybe he might get him some Patriot missiles, but they talked about other things. And the interesting thing about that, after the talks, Zelensky was basically kissing Trump's feet for some reason. So we don't know what was all said or what was happening. But at that point, Zelensky had nothing bad to say about Trump or the United States. Okay, and the same thing with Russia. Russia doesn't have anything bad to say about the United States either. So something was done there behind the scenes that wasn't for all of us to see. So that's we're gonna see what's going on with that. Zelensky was happy about the bombing in Iran, taking out the nuke plants, because what that also did in the bombings and everything, it basically took out some of the Shahed manufacturing plants there where they were building these drones that were being used on Ukraine on a daily basis. There's a lot more going on there, though. Okay. Here's something interesting. I just want to go off for a minute. What you see on the screen right here, that's Budapest, Hungary. Okay. Look at the buildings there. Okay. Those are every single one of those buildings are old world buildings. They were built long, long, long ago, before people even inhabited that city. Same things happened here in the United States. Buildings very similar to those. And then what we're seeing now in Ukraine, especially over in the Donbass region, in Donetsk area, mainly the whole Donbass area, all those big old beautiful buildings are getting bombed and destroyed. Why is that? What's happening? I put some stuff out on that. We're going to talk about that more, but not today. So there's some things going on with Ukraine that a lot of people don't know about. I can speculate, and I can say that, with some of the stuff that's actually happening there, and with the cruise missiles, the bombs, and the ICBMs, that are being shot across the border, the medium range ones, I can tell you for a fact that these explosions and the things that are hitting there, and they're saying some of these are from North Korea, but these things that are blowing up and causing the damage and killing mostly civilians. There's like one military guy per every 10 civilians that gets killed. That's not a good ratio. Too many civilians are getting killed. And my fiance and her mom feel, they're not happy with Russia. Okay, that's one thing. And they lived in Donetsk, which is in the Donbass region. When all this stuff went down, they were able to get out, and then they went to Chernihiv, and they got bombed out of there. Things got too hot. They left. They went to Poltava, and they had to leave Poltava. And my fiance was actually in the hospital just recovering. She had open heart surgery to fix a birth defect hole in her heart. And the day before she's supposed to go home, a Shahed lands outside of the apartment building and explodes on the road with enough force that it blew all the windows on the side of that apartment complex out and blew glass and debris and everything into the apartment. So I had to get a hold of her and let her know that she needed to ask the hospital if she could stay another day so mom could clean up and patch, the windows with cardboard to close them up. And then 5 days later, they left. And I'm not going to say where they're at now, but they're in a safe area. But I can say without a doubt that the Shaheds, these drones that are landing, the missiles that are getting the other cruise missiles that are getting shot, and the short range ICBMs, if that's what they truly are, they're all, I would say 90 to 95% of them are hitting civilian areas in Ukraine. Okay? Civilians are dying left and right. Old people, there aren't too many young men of military age left there, but it's women and old people and children that are getting killed because the men are off at the meat grinder on the front. So something's going on and something's got to be done. The question is Putin's being blamed for this, and it very, very much looks like it's him doing it, or in his army that's doing it. But there are factions in Ukraine, and this was very evident at the very beginning back in 2014, that when a lot of this stuff started happening over in the Donbass region and up north from there, these were they weren't Russians, they were Ukrainians, but they were pro-Russia, and they were the ones that were called the rebels that were actually, a lot of the Ukrainians that will say no, they weren't really Ukrainians. Well, they were Ukrainians. They were living and working in Ukraine. They'd been there for years, so for the most part they were Ukrainian. They by blood, who knows? Ukrainians are kind of a mix anyway, but these are the people that did the uprising and sided with Russia, okay? And those are the same people that took over Kiev when Kiev first fell way back when. And these are probably some of the same people that are involved with some of the stuff that's going on now. They did have the other group. It was a group of, they were like military contractors that were hired supposedly by Putin or maybe by the top military people that would go in, and they were fighting alongside these rebels in the Donbass region originally, but a lot of them were getting killed, and they basically, a lot of them didn't like what Putin was doing. A lot of them didn't, and enough of them left and fled Russia and went to like the Middle East and other places. They just got out of there. They didn't believe in what was what they were being asked to do down there. So, as my fiance and her mother are saying too, that they believe that maybe some of this stuff, they know when the missiles are coming and the drones are coming from Russia, and maybe they might be strategically themselves hitting civilian areas to make Russia look worse. Okay, so like a lot of what we call false flag operations might be happening there. I don't know for sure, it's speculation, but talking to people over there and from what they can see, that it sounds like what's going on. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, we're still waiting on a lot of stuff to come out. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino releasing the January 6th stuff. There's all kinds of stuff that was supposed to be coming out, and it's not. They're holding it. So basically, in a nutshell, the left is ranting. I think the switch in the control room at X got flipped to go full on liberal, because this is about 90 to 95% of what I'm seeing on here. And as of about 3 days ago, I was responding to a lot of this and calling people out until I realized that some of the things that I was saying should have elicited some kind of a response. And that's why I believe a lot of these are bots. I think they're bots. So I just figured, okay, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm just going to go through. I'm going to take out of it what I can, and then maybe come on and talk with people here and just kind of help keep them on track. Okay. That's what we got to do. Just stay the course, hold the line. What do they say? Hold. All right. So I don't know. I've been going almost an hour here. I didn't really notice too much going on chat. Oh yeah, I forgot to say hi to Roy D. What's up, Roy D? I'll probably holler at you after the stream is over. We got a few things we could probably talk about. But anywho, I'm probably going to end this here. I think I covered most of the stuff that I wanted to talk about today. Well, actually, I do have one other thing. All right. Let me go back over to X. I'm just going to go on my profile. Okay. All right. So what you see on the screen, okay, if you are on my Twitter or X, I have this pinned, so it's easy to find. I'm trying, as most of you that listen, know, and watch, I'm trying to get my family over here. I've started a Give, Send, Go, and I'm trying to get them here. We had money starting to be saved up so that we could do this like through the regular USCIS customs and do the marriage visas, the fiancé visas and all that stuff. But with the war going on, that kind of went out the window, because now a lot of the money that it's cost them on that side is having to move, trying to pick up the pieces and have to move to a whole other place, hundreds and hundreds of miles away. So I'm trying to get my family over here with me, and the whole story is up here if you wanna click. I don't believe I have the link down in the description for this video yet. I'll add it after the video's over. But if you go to my X account, at Real Mystery, where is it? Right here, at Real Mystery _1, you'll know you got the right place, because I stand for Ukrainians. And it's not I stand for Ukraine, I stand for Ukrainians. There's a difference there. I don't stand for the government, because I think their government is corrupt. Just like most. Anyway, if you could share it, if you can find in your heart to donate, I would appreciate it, and she would appreciate it. I just talked to her before I came on the live, and her mom are drafting something up for me, a letter from them, to kind of thank everybody ahead of time for everything that they're doing to help them get out of there. I'm hoping to have that posted up there at some point tomorrow. Once they get it all drafted, I'll have it up in English, and I'll have it in Russian. They speak mainly Russian. They speak Ukrainian, but Russian is still their native language, so it'll be in both. So, if you guys could, if you can see it in your heart to give a buck or two, we're not asking for a lot. We'd like to get, like in my business, people always said to me, well, why are your prices so low? It's because I would rather get $1 from 1 million people than $1 million from one. Because if you lose that one customer, then you got nothing. But if you have 1 million customers and you lose a couple, it's not that big of a hit. So, if you can find it in your heart to help out, we'd appreciate it. The plane tickets, because the way we have to do this now, we have to purchase them at the counter. And depending on what they have available, they're anywhere from almost $1,200 to just under $1,600 for a ticket for each person. And they're each going to have 2 suitcases. They don't have a lot, but all their belongings fit in 2 suitcases, just to give you guys an idea of what they've lost. So please, if you can, help. If you can't help there, another thing that helps too, and I'll put the links in after the video's up, or you can look at my old videos, go into the video descriptions, and I have sponsors for patriots.com and EMP Shield, and they've got some huge sales going on right now. For Patriots, actually both EMP and For Patriots have extended and started a 4th of July sale even before. So EMP Shield, you can get 50% off by clicking on my link, which is a pretty big amount. But if you buy like multiples, so like if you buy 2 or more, you get another $20 off, up to $200 off, depending on how many you get. And then on For Patriots, you can get 4-week food supplies, where you buy 1, you get 2 free. So you end up getting 12 weeks of food for the price of 1. It's crazy. They got all kinds of really cool stuff going on at forpatriots.com. Click on my links and you can take advantage of that. So I think that was all I wanted to talk about today. I probably will be doing more of these types of just quick get on and talk to you guys for like an hour every now and then. I probably won't do as many of my other ones as much, because I'm doing it right now by myself, and the research is just, it takes 3 to 4 days to research for one show, and by that time then the next one's ready. I can't get ahead. So anyway, you all take care. God bless. If you're out there doing research for yourselves, if your research doesn't lead you back to Jesus Christ, you're researching and looking in the wrong place. So put on your armor of God, and just remember that we are not fighting flesh and blood. We are fighting the spiritual, okay? Spiritual war, the principalities, okay? Be safe out there. Head on a swivel, and we'll see you next time. Take care. God bless.